The 2017 regular school board meeting. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Craig?
Here.
Mr. Estheimer, is he excused?
He's excused.
Mr. Freitas?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Excused.
Mr. Koopser?
Excused.
Ms. Reed?
Present.
Dr. Pomponio?
Here. Okay, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The Southgate School District's mission statement is Learning for Life. The vision statement is Southgate Community Schools, the best choice for students and parents. Revisions and approval of agenda.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to revise the agenda to remove item O2.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that is removed. Okay, can I have a motion to approve the revised agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised agenda.
Okay, so any second, support?
Support.
Madam
Okay.
President, did you want to change the consent agenda?
Yes, we can do that. We can also revise the consent agenda to separate, do we want to pull it out or just discuss it separately?
If you wanted to have discussion, it needs to be pulled out of the consent agenda, the HR report.
Okay, we can pull the item
K2.
2, the HR update out of the consent. With that update, can I have
Point of order, I think we need a motion and a second and a vote on that.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we remove K2 from consent and place it on the action agenda.
Okay, thank you. Support?
Support.
Thank you. I have a motion and support by a motion by Mr. Craig and a support by Mr. Freitas. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So now can I have an approval of the revised agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised agenda.
Support.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Craig and a support by Mr. Freitas. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, citizen comments or discussions? No? Okay, we're moving on to presentations. We have a construction update, but Rob Mikowski.
All right, good evening, everyone. Just wanted to give you an update of the progress that's been happening on out there. I don't know if you've been around, but they're in full steam right now. Work going on everywhere throughout the district, so everything is moving well. We've had some good weather here for the last few days and a lot of progress being made. So just to kind of go through the dashboard here that was presented to you. Starting in the lower right-hand corner, talk about some of the work recently completed. I just kind of put some bullet points on there, but the roofing work has been ongoing. So far, they have completed the work at Shelters, Ford Line, and Allen as of right now. Wrapped up, there might be doing some finishing touches with some trim work and stuff, but the roofing work that we were doing at those 3 schools is done. The parking lot prep work at Anderson and Davidson is wrapped up. They've got basically the concrete poured that's needed, the base work. They're really just doing their final grade work to get ready to start pouring at those 2 schools. So kind of wrapped up with a lot of the prep work at those 2 schools. The parking lot demo at Ford Line and Beacon Day has started. They have those parking lots torn up right now, getting ready to start doing some mass excavation out there to prep for those. And then the athletic field drainage systems have been installed on both the ball fields out there. So that was just kind of some high level. I mean, there's work, interior work, boilers are being installed, cabinet unit heaters are being replaced throughout. There's architectural work that's going on. Carpets currently being installed in the select classrooms and offices that are being done. Painting throughout's being done. The gym's been painted in Anderson. Getting ready to paint the commons area. So a lot of architectural work going on as well throughout. But what you'll really see when you're going around there is all the parking lot and roofing work that's happening right now. So kind of looking at the next couple weeks of stuff that's going on. The Davidson and Anderson parking lots will be paved here in the next 2 weeks. They're looking to start that later this week or early next week. So you'll start seeing asphalt at both those parking lots and getting those wrapped up. The tennis court fencing is starting. They received their materials today. And starting installing the fencing, probably take them about 2 weeks to get that done, and then at the end of the month, 1st of August, they'll start putting down the acrylic coating for the tennis courts, wrapping up that project back there. The Asher storm drainage and stone base work is starting out there in the front parking lot. We were kind of waiting for it to dry out, so we're reworking some of the storm drainage and base work, and then they'll be looking to pour that at the end of the month. Ford Line and Beacon Day, as I'd mentioned, they got the demo done. Now they're going to start putting in the concrete, doing all their site grading and stuff, getting ready to pour in a couple weeks. Completion of the boiler install for startup. Really, they're making their final connections now over the course of the next couple weeks, starting to hook up controls, getting them ready, and probably early next month they'll start firing up the boilers and running all the testing and stuff on those. The next line, I have a typo, I apologize. It notes Allen and Asher roof replacement. They're actually at Beacon Day right now instead of Allen. Allen is done. So they are currently at Beacon Day working on that roof. Making great progress here the last couple days. They got 2 large sections done here so far this week. So probably be at Beacon Day through early to mid next week and have that wrapped up. And then probably end of next week looking to move over to Asher, and that'll be really the last of the roofing work that we have for this year planned out, and that's been moving really well so far. And then the miscellaneous architectural work throughout district-wide. I mean, we're starting to get our doors and frames coming in, so we can really start putting back kind of the secure entries and some of that work, start getting our frames set, start getting doors installed. Hardware changes that were made have been going through, getting done. So that's kind of a highlight of some of the work for the next couple weeks. If you look over on the left, the short-term milestone tasks, I just kind of listed some targets that we have for some projects. So like I had mentioned, the Beacon Day roofing, they're looking to have complete next week by the 26th. The Anderson serving line equipment install for the servery is arriving on the 27th, so they'll start putting that back together here next week. They're just getting ready to start installing the floor early next week and start putting the equipment back in. So get that back together. The Davidson parking lot paving is set for the 28th to be done. The Asher roof replacement, July 28th to be complete. All our carpet we're targeting to be done by the 28th, so we can get all the offices and classrooms back together that we moved the furniture out of. So the first week of August we'll be putting all those back together, getting the moving crews back in here, get those back together for you. The Anderson gym bleacher installation will be done next week. They're actually starting, I believe, tomorrow. They just wrapped up the painting out there in the gym, so bleachers are scheduled to show up tomorrow, so they'll start putting those back in. The Beacon Day parking lot be done by August 1st. The Ford Line parking lot, August 4th is the target. Again, these are all kind of weather dependent, but if we keep getting the weather we have, pretty confident we can meet those dates. The Anderson parking lot paving, we're targeting the first week of August, August 7th, really to be done with that, with the exception of the teacher's lot on the west side. We're going to tackle that one last once we get all the other paving done. Then we'll jump over, and that'll kind of be one of the last things we do over there. But by August 7th, we're hoping to have all the parking lot paving at Anderson, and then the ball field work, targeting by August 21st to have that complete. So that's a majority of the highlights. I did put some photos in there for you, a couple of them. The top left is the Anderson parking lot. Really, they're doing their final grading right there in that parking lot, getting ready to pour that. All the sidewalks and everything are being poured right now out there for that. Next picture over in the top right is the new backstop for the softball field. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, it's pretty impressive up there. So they got that installed. I think they're just finishing up here probably today, getting that wrapped up. The lower left corner is the new entrance to Davidson, showing the new entrance drive that we have in. They're pouring the curbs right there. So kind of directs the flow of traffic in there. For better order coming through there. So that's showing the new entrance drive coming in, and then the lower right corner is the Beacon Day parking lot that was all just demoed here in the last few days. So just tried to show a couple different things around the district for you. So that gives a quick little summary. Is there any questions? Anything I can answer for you?
Mr.
question.
Craig.
When do you think the tennis courts might be done?
Probably by the second week of August.
Okay.
They're looking to start that.
Yeah, I know you got on here the fencing and the acrylic coating, but
Yeah, I think they're looking to start the acrylic probably by the first week of August. And I mean, if all goes well, it should be about a week. So I'd say safely with restoration and everything by the second week of August. I think they're looking to be wrapped up back there.
and that'll kind of coincide with the parking outside of it too and everything, right?
Yep.
So, okay.
Yep, we're trying to get that work back there done, and then we have some sidewalks and stuff that got to get poured back there. We got to rework our fencing, and so all that, they're kind of trying to get that done and work their way out of that
Right.
back corner with the paving, so.
Okay.
And then they're really focusing on getting that front parking lot done right now. That's going to be the new band practice area up front, so working on getting that poured, and then kind of work from the tennis courts back out.
Perfect. Thank you.
Question.
Yes.
The Anderson front entrance, or is that a temporary wall, or is that going to be permanent?
That
When
you
you
see up
get-
there now with
yeah.
the plywood?
Yeah.
That is just the temporary right now to isolate the work. We had to have our fire separation from the rest of the building, so that's just the temporary wall that's up for right now.
Okay, and that security area, does that have windows? I don't remember if I saw, or is that
The-
blocked? Because it used to be storage, and that's going to be security right in the front?
There's a new, call it a transaction window that's going to be in there. I think two of them are going in, one on each wall there, so you'll be able to see into the secure vestibule, and then also the door and the window to see kind of out towards the cafeteria.
Okay,
So that,
thank you. And then the gyms are supposed to be painted, right?
yep.
The practice gym with the big Titan logo, is that going to be painted over, or?
Won't be painted over. I think they were, I don't remember offhand. They're not painted over. I just can't picture it. They'd paint around it if they were.
Okay. And then Davidson, the front on Leroy, the parking lots, are any of those going to be any bigger, or is it just going to be
Off of Leroy.
back? I guess it's the back of the building.
The south side.
No, not really any bigger on that side, just all reconstructed through there, the old bus loop and stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty much just new sidewalks were pretty rough back there, so they're replacing a lot of those, and just replacing those, but there really isn't any expansion going on that side.
Okay.
The parking lot off of
Trenton Road?
Road
Yeah.
is being expanded.
I've seen it, that's great. The other thing is the tennis courts, yeah, because I took a walk with Kelsey Tackett, and I looked at all the updates and everything, and the tennis courts, because compared to what the old tennis courts were, I didn't know it was that big. I guess because
Massive.
I didn't see it, but when I saw it, it was just perfect. I mean, it's great to see the update.
It's massive back there.
Yeah.
I mean, your little, your athletic complex now back there, from with the track and the bleachers and what you're doing with the softball and baseball field, and
Yeah.
the practice field now being corrected with the drainage, and then the new tennis courts. It's really going to look good back there.
That's all I have. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, for the next presentation, we have food service program review by Mr. Dan Connors.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just want to let you know, the pizza bid did go out. We mailed it to 8 different companies, and 2 people called the office to request the bid. So there's 10 out there. So they'll due back August 10th.
And that's without the wheat flour, right?
Yes, we got, because of some of the changes coming through, they extended this year into next year. So next spring, I'll have to request a new one, most likely. unless it changes. We made a decision on the milk bid, and that's the same company that we had. They came back with the best price. The bread bid, one of the purveyors questioned the method of one of the other vendors, so we requested product from everybody. There were 3 bids that came back. We did an evaluation on all the bids, and then Aunt Millie's was the one that we picked. Okay. The question as far as the product was, Metropolitan does a straight mixed dough, and Aunt Millie's and Great Lakes Bacon, they do a fermented dough. And the fermented dough lasts longer, tastes better, has better texture and stuff like that. And when we looked at the products, the color and the textures were the best in Aunt Millie's. So, this year we had the administrative review. We completed that. That was 4 pages of questions and answers that the state wanted. Out of 500 free and reduced applications, they found 8 that were processed incorrectly. Only one of them was a finding. All those that were corrected when the state was here. So my financial penalty was $87, and they forgave that because it was under 600. We still don't know when we're going to have the resource review yet. The state's backed up on that, so it could be late August, September. I don't know. So overall, the program, except for the sales, which was $1,141,754, was pretty good. Food costs came in a little high, but not significantly. We served 56,000 breakfasts, 231,000 lunches over the course of the year. So that's. Any questions?
With the other food service directors, can you explain how that works with the bids and the food service directors from the other cities in the letter here?
Oh, we have a little consortium because if we group together, we because of our volume, we get a better price.
Oh,
as opposed to me just going out and bidding by myself.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So on the milk price, did you, the milk price, did you put out bids for the milk too, the dairy?
Yes.
And did you already cover the price increase, or, because I was just going to ask about that, the 5 cent, or am I jumping ahead?
That's something okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, and
Mr. Connors, maybe you can tell them a little bit about the new committee that you have formed, because that's something that is required of you also, and I don't know if the whole board knows about that, and that's something that will be a little more active next year.
Yes, it will. Part of the law that came down was having a food wellness policy committee to help guide actually the whole wellness of the district. I put together a committee, and we had one meeting in May, and it's going to go over the course of next year. We should have 4 meetings, and we're going to look at pretty much everything. It's just not food. It's health, activities in school, both high school and grade school and stuff like that. So I'm excited about that. It should be pretty good.
Is that portions too? They look at portions, or part of the calorie intake with that, or no?
We can discuss it, but that's pretty well regulated by the government.
Oh, okay.
You know, so there's not that much room in that, although we could look at, you know, different types of food and stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Connors? Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to committee reports. The Anti-Bullying Committee. We met, we discussed parent and student concerns. We continue to discuss parent and student concerns, and we talked about discussion on procedures and what's working and what may need to be updated or revised. And we also discussed accessibility to incident reports for parents and students, and that the website has the reports, but sometimes it's not accessible on phones or iPads or tablets. We also discussed the new Facebook page that's going to be published for the Davidson Middle School, and that's going to be called the Davidson Middle School Parent Support Group. We've been working on that. And that title was established back in the May informational meeting with the parents that attended that meeting. So that's what we covered in that meeting. Finance, we haven't met yet. Or
Our next meeting is July 26th.
okay. Thank you.
It's coming quick.
And the next anti-bullying meeting is August 3rd at 4:30. And then the policy committee, we reviewed a couple policy updates, but we didn't cover too much because we want Mrs. Creation with the additional updates for our next meeting. And if you can attend the August 3rd at 5:30, that'll be in the next meeting.
And I just wanted to add to that, the board had approved some policies in the last couple of months, and I have submitted those to Neola, you know, for them to get those updated on the website. That we do have a large update from May, and one of the board members had not had an opportunity to review that large packet, so that's why we kind of put this off until August. But there are some policies that are going to need to be approved before we start school, because the new discipline policies that is related to suspension expulsions goes into effect on August 1st, and so we'll need to have our board policy updated before school starts. So we'll, and since we're meeting on August 3rd, the board should expect to have the policy update on an action item on the August 15th board meeting.
Should we have an earlier session and then have it on the August 1st meeting?
We'll be okay, because if we're concerned about it, we can pull the discipline policies out and approve those first, and then there's other policies that are not so urgent, but that one, that's one of a few, and I'll review the whole packet before that August 3rd meeting to make sure that we've got everything that needs to be approved before we start school.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Do those get submitted to us by Neola? The ones that are law-driven, do those get submitted to us?
Yeah, every 6 months when we get the update, they do anything that has been a legal change, and then if anything happened in the interim, legislatively, they rarely make it effective immediately. So the Neola policy that came to us in May, we also got an update from Troon, our law firm, and it matches. So Neola is completely compliant with the new Michigan law.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the legislative committee, is there anything to report?
We've just been updating as it goes. I did send out the members of the committee the governor's budgets and what was signed, what was proposed, and the prior year, 5 years of where we fall in that to be reviewed before our next meeting, which I believe is August 3rd. And is that at 4 o'clock?
Yeah, probably 3:30.
3:30?
Yeah. Okay, is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Okay, in curriculum, we haven't had a meeting since June, and the next meeting will be in August, and I'll update you on the date in the next board meeting. And grounds and maintenance, I have a tentative date of August 15th, if you're able to attend, Tuesday before the regular board meeting at 6 o'clock. I'll confirm that in the next board meeting as well.
I think I can.
Okay, thank you.
6 o'clock?
Yeah. And personnel, Mr. Green isn't here. He'll give you the update in the next meeting. So moving on to discussion, the finance report, Ms. McLaughlin.
I have no report this evening.
Thank you. Curriculum report, no report. Superintendent report, Mrs. Creation.
I have no report tonight.
Thank you. Board president update, I have no update. Thank you. Citizen comments, no citizen, any citizen comments? No? Okay, thank you. Moving on to consent.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is minutes from the June 27th, 2017 special board meeting and July 11th, 2017 retreat workshop, and the disbursements for June of 2017.
Okay, any support?
Support.
Okay, any discussion? Oh. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Craig and a support by Mr. Freitas. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Moving on to action. The first award for the 2017-2018 bread contract to Aunt Millie's Baking Company. Any discussion?
Just in addition to what Mr. Connors we talked about during his update, this was conducted through the Southeast Wayne County Buying Cooperative, and the decision was made to go with the second lowest bidder based on the quality specifications that were discussed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve awarding the 2017-18 bread contract to Aunt Millie's Baking Company.
Any support?
Support.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Craig and a support by Mr. Freitas. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to action item number 2, the award for the 2017-2018 milk and dairy contract to Berkshire Dairy.
This bid was also conducted through the same cooperative, and after the accumulation, the recommendation was going to the lowest bidder, which is Berkshire Dairy, which is our current vendor.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the awarding of the 2017-18 milk and dairy contract to Berkshire Dairy.
Any support?
Support.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Craig and a support by Mr. Freitas. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, moving on to action item number 3, increase in elementary and secondary lunch prices by 5 cents for 2017 and 2018. Can I have a motion? Discussion? Sorry.
So the paid lunch equity tool was finally made available. Mr. Connors did go through the calculation and to make sure that the prices that we charge for the paid lunches are in line with the cost for the reimbursements from the federal government. So based on that calculation, our current weighted average was $2.77. The requirement was $2.80, so by an increase of 5 cents across the board through the district, it brings our weighted average to $2.82. So we try not to do anything, we do it in 5-cent increments and not deal with pennies. So a 5-cent increase would bring us to a weighted average of $2.82, which would make, we would be in compliance for 2017-18.
Okay. One of the things that I asked before is I think that each year there's an increase by most districts, but are we competitive with the other districts, or are we a little bit cheaper? Or I don't remember.
I have not done a comparison.
We're probably right in the middle. We're all pretty close in this general area.
Okay. And do most districts do like a couple years at a time, or every year we look at that?
It's different in every district.
Okay. Because I know it was brought to us before with like a 2-year extension, but I was just curious about that. Mr. Craig?
So are we going to the 280 or the 282?
The weighted average would be 282. So for elementary, the price would be 265. Middle school would be 295, and high school would be 325. And that's a 5-cent increase for each one of those.
Okay. All right, so we're, okay, I think I understand. I just wasn't sure what-
280 or above.
Oh, I
In
see.
order to be compliant with the law.
Okay, so everything has to be above, all right. That's what I
So we
was,
had to have the increase then.
yeah, I was seeing the 5 cents difference between the 277 and the 282.
Oh.
But I didn't know where the 280 came in, and makes sense.
Right.
So we're just approving a 5
We had to be at least at
cent.
280.
Right, we're approving 5 cents across the board then?
Right.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the increase in the elementary and secondary lunch prices by 5 cents for the 2017-2018 school year.
Any support?
Support?
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Craig and a support by Mr. Freitas. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to action item number 4, the 2017-2018 MHSAA membership resolution. Discussion?
Yeah, and I'm gonna pass the actual motion to whoever makes this. This is an annual requirement in order for our athletic teams to participate in the MHSAA sanctioned postseason tournaments. We have to apply for membership, and board approval is required. All of the pertinent information is on the back that I have to submit. So this covers the athletic teams at Anderson High School and Davidson Middle School. We have to submit our projected enrollment for the middle school and whether or not 6th grade students would be participating. There are plans for 6th grade students to participate in cross country and perhaps track. That's where we are right now. And so you can see the information on the back of that application. I don't know if you have questions or not, but this is a standard application that you approve every year.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion. The Board of Education hereby delegates the superintendent or his or her designee the responsibility for the supervision and control of said activities, and hereby accepts the Constitution and bylaws of said association and adopts as its own rules, regulations, and interpretations as published in the current handbook as the governing code under which the said school shall conduct the program of interscholastic athletics, and agrees to the primary enforcement of said rules, regulations, interpretations, and qualifications. In addition, it is hereby agreed that the schools which host or participate in the association's meets and tournaments shall follow and enforce all tournament policies, procedures, and schedules. This authorization shall be effective from August 1st, 2017, and remain effective until July 31st, 2018, during which the authorization may not be revoked.
Okay, do I have support?
I have a question, Madam
Ms. Seger?
Is there a fee associated with the membership?
I do not know.
Okay, thank you. Is that it? Or do you want more information?
I'm just wondering if there is a fee and where that money would come from.
Okay, we'll look into it, and then, you know, Mrs. Creation, can you send us back?
I will absolutely
Okay.
get the information for
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion. Can I have a support?
Support?
Okay, we had the discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to employee representatives, do we have any?
Oh,
Point of
one more.
order, we have one
the
more action item.
HR that we moved.
Oh,
We
I'm
pulled
sorry.
the HR.
Okay. Action item number 5. Discussion on that one?
This is for the HR
Yes.
update, so I think
Yes.
Mr. Moran has some information to share before you vote on this one.
Okay, thank you.
The employee that listed there was a certified teacher holding a teaching position. She allowed her certification to lapse. She is no longer a certified teacher and cannot hold a certified teaching position.
Any questions? Okay, no questions, thank you. Oh, Mr. Freitas.
So it's effective June 30th, the certification,
Correct.
it lapsed?
Correct.
Did she have the requirements? Did she just not submit it?
I don't know. We, in the HR office, we keep track of all the certification, the expiration dates. All professional education certificates in the state of Michigan expire on June 30th of the 5th year that they were issued. In December, we sent out a written memo to all the teachers whose certificates were expiring. In February, we checked again to see how many had renewed. You're able to start renewing those as early as January. By February, the ones that still hadn't renewed, we send out an email to all of them. This employee got both of those communications. In June, early June, we still had 4 teachers left that hadn't renewed their certificates. We drafted 4 letters before we could get them in the mail. 2 of them turned their certificates into us. 2 letters went out in the mail. 1 of them was to this teacher. The other teacher got his certificate renewed before the June 30th deadline.
So this
And I'm-
teacher in question didn't contact you and say, I'm working at it, it's delayed at the state or anything?
No.
Okay.
No response to our communications. And I believe the Office of Professional Preparation Services, that's the MDE office that oversees certification, also sends out an email notification the year that the certificates expire. So there should have been a minimum of 4 communications to this teacher letting them know that this needed to be done. And for this particular teacher, this was the 2nd time this teacher has allowed their certification to lapse.
Do they have rights to get it renewed at some point? Or is it not really?
The tenure commission doesn't recognize someone who doesn't have a valid teaching certificate as a tenured teacher. So when you let your certification lapse, you lose all protections from the tenure commission.
You can renew, but you start all over.
Okay.
Okay, was this a long-term employee or a newer employee? Like,
It's a longer-term employee.
okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the HR update as presented.
Any support?
Support?
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Craig and a support by Mr. Freitas. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Employee representatives? Okay. Information and announcements. Okay, I just have information, I guess. I had the pleasure of going to Anderson and doing a walkthrough with the updates and everything with the summer school principal, Kelsey Tackett. And she showed me around all the summer school classes and with the students. We did a walkthrough there, and I was looking at all the work in progress, the gyms, the practice gym, and like I said, the tennis courts. That was amazing. I'm just very happy about that. And I took photos, so I'll upload those for the board members to see, but they should be online too, right, of the tennis courts, the progress of the tennis courts.
Pictures that were in the updater.
Okay. And I have some detailed ones, closer ones, so really nice. And that's about all I have. Any other announcements? Okay. Seeing none, moving on to the non-action items. Number 1, food service management agreement, Mrs. McLaughlin.
This is a new proposal that was brought to the district with there only being 4 board members here. I'm not sure if you would like me to proceed with some discussion. the goal originally was to have a discussion and then bring it to action at the next board meeting. So,
Okay,
so as my memo said, the district was approached by Groseal Schools regarding a shared time agreement regarding our food service director management position. Having a shared time position agreement for that position is one of the common ways for food service programs to save money. Actually, if you look at the bread and the milk bids, the food service director at Lincoln Park also is the food service director for Wyandotte, just to give you an example. The food service director at Groseal Schools is retiring or cutting back on her schedule, and we were approached with possibly sharing our food service director with them. This is a union position in the SPSA union. So I did meet with them because this type of change in duties and responsibilities also does warrant a pay increase, which is in the memo. Incorporating that pay increase, if we were to do this, what they're looking at is 1.5 days a week out at Groseal Schools, and it would be a savings of approximately $18,600 to the food service program. I talked to, Mr. Connors is very excited about this. He sees it as a great opportunity. I did express my concern about making sure that Southgate is taken care of at the same time. There's still, he's got a lot of things on his plate for Southgate, but we have also done a lot of things to make the program more efficient. In the past 2 years, the business office has worked quite a bit with Mr. Connors to update the financial records, make them more accurate, making sure things are split out between the different programs, making them more accurate. Also, making sure that the POs and the invoicing is correct to make that process more efficient as well. And he shared with me some things that that have been done in the program to help things overall with the staff to run more smoothly. So I just wanted to share some of those with you. Using the standardized recipes for menu items, monthly inventories are taken in the kitchens. They use the first in, first out inventory rotation. They've had customer service training that's provided annually in handling parent and administrative questions and concerns. School personnel have been trained to follow the food allergy procedures and policies. Current and up-to-date training is provided to the personnel on food production and work techniques. And they're trained on completing production records, and they're filled completely. The production records are filled completely and accurately every day. And as a former auditor, that's one thing that just seems to slip through the cracks. People don't want to cross all the I's and dot all the T's and make sure they put all the information on that. They've put into place policies and procedures to ensure clean and sanitary serving areas, and they've been trained in food safety and handling of food. So with all the trainings and the changes in the procedures, Mr. Connors feels that it's something that he can do to help the budget of the program and also offer services to another district. Also attached in your board packet was a draft of the agreement that would be potentially signed by both districts. The agreement is, what we started with was the agreement that Groseal Township had with their host district. I took the agreement and had it sent to our attorney, and he made some recommendations, and that's the version that you have right now. And I know at Groseal Schools that their attorney is also looking at it. So it's an agreement that both districts are pretty excited about and would like to at least give it a year. And it is only for a year to see how this works.
Madam President, I have just one addition. When we're talking about improvements that Mr. Connors has made in terms of efficiency, he has restructured the manner in which the food service employees are assigned to buildings and the way that they're trained. And in the past, it was frequent, there was a frequent occurrence that we did not have enough staff. They would call off. There was this great shifting around of personnel, and quite often the food service director would get pulled from their position to cover in a kitchen. That is no longer the case. We just do not have staffing issues in food service anymore, and I think that's kudos to Mr. Connors as well.
Thank you. Any other discussion from the board or questions?
I have
Mr. Craig.
a couple questions. So is this a 12-month position, or is this a 11-month?
It's a little over a 10-month position. It's just over 200 days.
Okay. So that's why they're paying basically 3/4 of the year?
No, it's just how we
There.
split the payments.
Oh, they're gonna make it
Yeah,
in 3
yeah.
payments?
Right,
Okay.
yeah, right.
So they're not paying him directly, we would be paying him?
We would pay his full salary, and then the business office would invoice the Groseal schools on those 3 dates.
For a third of his,
Yes.
now is that third, is that the 18,600?
That's the savings that the Southgate schools will recognize by doing this agreement.
And that's after the salary and benefit?
Yes.
Costs to us?
Yes.
So if, I guess not being 100% familiar with the pension system, so if this increase goes in for a 1-year period, and then they're no longer part of that, that affects that position's FAC, correct?
That's correct.
And we would be on the hook for that if we didn't continue forward with it for the next 5 years or 10 years or however long. It becomes a factor of the FAC that the pension is based on, correct?
Yes,
And
but as
they
far
would
as
be-
the salary, that's, number one, the position is part of a union, and that contract expires June of 18. So this increase was determined based on the current salary and what's left of this contract. And whatever costs change, and even if they change this year, because there's an estimate in there for insurance, because our insurance doesn't renew until January 1st. And they recognize that. We did talk about that the total amount that's being billed and the 1/3 may change during the year.
Right, but his insurance cost will stay the same regardless of if he's doing the job for 2 districts
That's
or
correct,
not.
yes.
My concern is that we get stuck with a higher FAC that we have to live with for forever, even if we only do this for a year.
That depends on a lot of things. That's based on the presumption that if we did this for a year and it didn't work out, and then the salary changes again, that Mr. Connors, I don't know how long Mr. Connors plans on working, but he would have to stay in this district until retirement and never, he also would have the potential to leave this district at some point in time, earn more money,
Right.
and then all of that goes away.
Right.
So I just feel like that is a possibility, but it's based on an awful lot of assumptions
But
at
it's the
this point
time
in
that
time.
he's here.
Huh?
For all of the time that he's here, his calculation is based off of, the state runs that, right? I guess that's what I'm not 100% sure I understand the pension
The
system.
FAC is
Yes.
based on for him, is it 3 highest or 5 highest?
It's his 3 highest.
Which wouldn't necessarily
years of
occur in this
compensation.
district.
Possibly, right. But we're paying, while he's here, or while that position is here, we're paying a calculation based on what that position is
What we
looking
pay
at,
into
right?
the retirement system is based on the plan that he has selected and the defined benefit rates that are determined by the state every year.
Right. That goes into our pool to figure
Yes.
out what we pay back out.
Yes.
So, if it was 3 years that we maintained this, and then we decided with Groseal, no, we're not gonna do that anymore, they're not paying us anything else. We're still on the hook for, if those are his best 3 years, and he goes back to whatever salary he's at now, let's say he stays here for another 6, on those additional 6, then we're paying it at a higher rate because his best 3 were
The rate is statewide, so it's based on,
So it's not
It's
calculated.
not
It's not
district
based on,
calculation.
it's not based
Calculated.
on what's
No.
going on in this
It's
district.
not calculated by what
No.
we have. Okay,
No.
so they don't look
well,
at ours.
they look at the entire state.
But they don't look at ours individually?
No.
Okay, that was my,
Okay.
that was my question with the system.
Right.
Was I don't know if they're looking at us individually and running a calculation, or is it the whole system?
It's the
and
whole
then they-
system.
And then they just pass it out?
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
That was my question. I didn't want to be
Okay.
affected
Oh, no.
continually, or possibly affected continually. For that, that was my concern.
So somebody would be paying for a part-time food service director at Roseville Township, and then those wages would go into the entire calculation for the rates that are established for, they change October 1st of each year, and every district in the state has the same rates.
So would this mean more hours for that position? Or is it going to be the same amount of hours, just we have a day and a half less?
So let me make a comment on that, if I can. This is a director's position, this is a salaried position. There are no hours with salary positions. Now, certainly for building principal, there's a time frame that you must be in the building, but there are no hours assigned. It's like any salaried position, it's until you get the job done.
Okay.
The standard that's used in our payroll system is an 8-hour day for directors and administrators. Because we have to have something. If we ever need to usually we don't need anything lower than a daily rate, but sometimes we might need an hourly rate to take that salary figure down to an hourly rate. And that has to be put in, because of how the payroll system is, that has to be put in for every employee of the district.
Okay.
So I have a question about the daily schedule of a director of food service. Is it usually busy? So will it push back a lot of things? Will you be overwhelmed with the work that you have here in Southgate if you take that 1 day and a half?
The way I work is I work for as long as I need to work. So, if I need to work 10-hour days, then I'm working 10-hour days to get things done here. I'm not going to let this program go down.
Okay.
I'm invested in it.
Okay. Oh, absolutely. I'm very pleased with your work, and I've seen the improvement, and I think you're doing an excellent job. The new software that we had to get, is that helping?
It's helped a lot in terms of the inventory. We've consolidated some. We're more stable throughout the year on our inventories and stuff like that. It's still not fully implemented, all the things that I want to do. I had to take this year basically off to get ready for the administrative review. So hopefully this year I'll get the database completed and move on with the rest of it.
Okay. Thank you. And I think it's a testament to Southgate that you were selected for that position, so, out of all the directors downriver. So, thank you, Mr. Connors. Thank you. Any other questions?
So
Okay.
are we okay to move forward with putting it to action
Yes.
at the next
Yes.
meeting?
Is that the consensus of the board at this time?
And we can have a similar discussion
Right.
before the vote.
Okay. How does the board feel about that?
I don't think you need our permission to put it on action. I don't know that I can
Right.
support it, but you don't need our permission to put it on action.
Right. So that's fine, and we can have the
Okay.
discussion with the full board in the
Okay.
next meeting. Thank you. Okay, moving on to adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Thank you.
Second?
Have a good evening. Thank you.